This trend is mirrored exactly by Potemkin, who's mediocre at best in Strive, terrible at Xer, and pretty solid at Design. However, these are just the two characters I'm using as an example. If you take a look at almost any fighting game, you're very likely to see these trends repeating, and if they aren't, there's usually some level of rule breaking that makes said character stand out from their low-tier brethren. A good example of this is Dhalsim, who similarly to Axel is quite weak in a majority of his appearances, except in Street Fighter V. However, in that game, Dhalsim actually has incredibly potent offensive pressure with his slides, dive kick, teleport mix-ups, and... As for grapplers, Zangief is also usually quite weak, but has an exceptional appearance in Street Fighter IV, where he sports a powerful, fast, long-range attack that slips through fireballs that no designer would dare a character of his stature ever again. It's important to note that while this bias is generally seen in a lot of games, there are some exceptions. The Mortal Kombat series frequently has zoners in the upper tiers of their roster, and King of Fighters often has grapplers at the front of the pack. Speaking of grapplers, we finished Axel's segment, but why are characters like Potemkin generally kept weak? Just like Axel, Potemkin is a character about exploiting mistakes, but he does it in his own unique way. Developers also felt the need to keep intentionally underpowered. Potemkin is a character about his crushing offense, only needing 1 to 2 openings to win a round, with no challenging actually forcing his way in and winning said round. However, if 2 weaker players are playing, neither one of them is going to be apt at the neutral state of the game. And while Potemkin's high HP keeps him alive for longer, it's tickled for mistake after mistake, as soon as the enemy player makes it, it's possible for Potemkin to force them into a guess-for-game situation with his extremely powerful throw, which, again, can feel unfair to left opponents. If you're familiar with fighting games, you'll have heard that these two archetypes prey on 2 major emotions that their kids are designed to force you to feel. For Axel, that emotion is frustration. For every round, Axel is at an advantage. Rounds that Axel wins last much longer than rounds his opponent wins, and he excels at making the opponent feel foolish for each decision they make. For Potemkin, that emotion is fear. The knowledge that at any moment Potemkin may throw out an attack that could rob you of an entire life bar causes you to make mistakes. Following these mistakes, when a guess-for-game situation where one wrong call could lead to a defeat means victories with Potemkin leave some players feeling cheated out of a win they felt they deserved. These emotions of fear and frustration are put first and foremost in matches against our 2 friends here, and if you're inexperienced with dealing with them, it can lead to serious discontent with the character or even the game itself. New players will find themselves frustrated until that Axel's attacks, which will cause them to make rash, aggressive decisions, and, wouldn't luck have it, that's exactly what Axel is waiting for, promptly blow them up as a result. Potemkin will leave these players feeling terrified of even standing anywhere close to him, constantly wasting opportunities, moving not enough or way too much, and flailing when on the defensive. And, wouldn't luck have it, that's exactly what Pod is waiting for, and he'll promptly blow them up as a result. The exploitation of mistakes a beginner player would be more likely to make leaves characters like Potemkin and Axel in an awkward spot where they see disproportionate success at lower, higher levels, and developers have known this for a long time. This creates a discrepancy in the player base's perception of strength for these 2 characters. While the top 1% may understand that if a player can Axel and Pod's weaknesses, you have a high level of success, 99% of players won't even know what these weaknesses are, and even if you told them, they likely don't care enough about the game to learn to exploit them. You frequently see beginner players complaining about the overpoweredness of characters like Axel, citing the inability to fight back at all when up against a zoner more knowledgeable in the game than them, and the same can be said for grapplers as well. If you just flat-out removed these character archetypes, you'd not only alienate a large portion of the player base who enjoys playing them, you'd also lose a sense of proportionality within the tools the game allows you to choose. It's no coincidence that these 2 characters lie on the opposite ends of the spectrum of range, and if you removed both the longest range characters and the shortest range characters, you'd be stuck with a less interesting game with fewer options to choose from. This problem has led developers to intentionally making these types of characters underpowered at a high level of gameplay as a means to align the character's strength with what the majority player base perceives it is. This is potentially the clearest cut example we have of developers intentionally designing a set of mechanics so that the worst player wins more often. Except this isn't even the only genre to do this, and it's actually eerie how close our next dilemma comes to this example. Here, let me show you how close. Take this guy, now each give them guns, and there you go. You probably see where I'm going with this. If grapplers are as short-range gets, and zoners are as long-range gets, then it wouldn't be a stretch to call shotguns grapplers and snipers zoners. Other than the fact that shotguns don't tend to pick you up in spinning pile drive, of course. The shotgun and the sniper are common points of contention among FPS players for almost the exact set of reasons I listed in our fighting game section. Sniper rifles are able to attack you at ranges where you can't deal any damage, causing you to get impatient and end up right in scopes. Its counterpart, the shotgun, mirrors grapplers by lurking around tight corners and forcing you to take gunfights so close that the reduced field of view from a scope is deadly dangerous, pumping you with high damage shells that can kill in one shot should you find yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time. As a result, we often see these weapons either intentionally undertuned or exceptionally hard to acquire to reduce player frustration. However, while the shotgun tends to find itself nerfed to mediocrity just like its grappler brethren, we actually see the sniper stay a pretty strong and consistent option in a lot of shooter games, and I think I know why. See, it all comes down to player perception of skill. When talking about Axel earlier, we mentioned how his screen coverage is
maybe I can try incorporating Runic
being able to
in this
attack
deck as well.
the opponent could never reach. This is true of the sniper, but where one attack from Axel can cover upwards of 20% of the entire screen, a single shot from sniper exists only as a small straight line across a sprawling map, certainly not covering even a single percentage of overall screen space. This leads to a disconnect from the player's idea for how skillful each tool is to use, where, because it's easier to hit your chain attacks as Axel than it is to hit sniper, the sniper must be the game's most skillful weapon, and Axel must be the game's least skillful character. In reality, this isn't quite the case. The game is balanced to proportionally reward the users of these tools based on the context they exist in. Axel's long-range attacks don't do very much damage, and they leave him quite vulnerable if he misses. And while a sniper rifle is significantly vulnerable after a single miss, most games allow them to one-shot any opponent with a shot to the head, and depending on the gun, maybe even the body too. While snipers do see just about as much complaining as zoners do, the simple fact that we perceive the sniper wielder as better than the opponent they killed means there's less of a need to intentionally use the tool. In stark contrast, many see people who play zoners as cowards who are worse at the actual game than the people they're zoning, pressuring developers to weaken those characters to make the match results more resemble these players' perceived notion of skill between them and their opponent, even if the zoner is actually much better. So, we've looked at ways games allow for worse players to still experience victories over a long play session due to small amounts of game asymmetry, and we discussed how player perception of strength and skill can impact how fairly balanced certain polarizing tools are. However, we haven't looked at any examples where it's clear, even from a passing glance, that the game wants the worst player to win. And while that sounds like a far-fetched idea, and game designers designing a game with the express purpose to make sure the worst player beats the better player is certainly hyperbole in its fullest form, there are examples of mechanics in games designed to give an edge exclusively to weaker players that better players are excluded from. If I had you play a game of Hangman right now and put up these two blank words consisting of 8 letters each, I bet a large amount of you could guess what words I just put up. Comeback mechanic. If you're a gamer, you probably know what a comeback mechanic is, and if you're a competitive gamer, you probably already attach a pretty negative stigma to it. Chess has no comeback mechanics. If you're losing in chess, you have to claw your way back to victory the hard way, or resign early and learn from your defeat. Now, imagine if when you were the first player to be placed in check, you could bring any one of your pieces back from the dead. That would be a comeback mechanic. Mechanics are implemented in games to help losing players get back into the fight, and are often a point of contention among more hardcore fan bases. By definition, a comeback mechanic is unfair. The player who is performing worse receives a benefit for performing worse that the higher performing player never gets. Our competitive mindset for skill should tell us that such a thing shouldn't even be given a passing thought, never implemented into any serious competitive game. However, they keep showing up. Why? Well, as mentioned before, there's loss aversion. While the most objective end to an experience is the end of a round or game, losing smaller scale interactions more frequently doesn't feel good either. It sounds pretty backwards to say that if you're significantly better than your opponent in a fighting game, they should never get a chance to actually try to play it, because they'll have nothing to learn off of, and have zero positive experiences from these matches. Comeback mechanics can exist on a small scale in these instances, such as meter being awarded to players for taking damage, which allows them to activate powerful and vulnerable supers to stop the opponent from running them over and claw their way back into the game. However, these are comeback mechanics that exist at the smallest of scales. Oftentimes, while you are rewarded meter for losing in fighting games, you're awarded even more of it for winning interactions. So it's more there to level out the playing field as opposed to directly point to the disadvantage. You can find small-scale comeback mechanics like this in shooter games as well. In many game modes, the winning team needs to put in more effort to score a match-winning point than the losing team does to gain points of their own. This is seen in a lot of Overwatch's game modes, where the closer one team gets to a victory, the closer the losing team's spawn points are to the objective, and the farther the winning team spawns off. This small-scale comeback mechanic is actually not that intrusive to competitive integrity, as while the losing player is being rewarded, they'll inevitably have to climb that same hurdle if they want to win. This type of mechanic only really adds the perception of a back-and-forth game feel. The real type of comeback mechanic we look down upon isn't one of those that rewards consistency. If we want to look at a comeback mechanic that actively benefits weaker players and breaks away from the consistency of stronger ones, we'll have to get a little more. The most obvious example of this type of mechanic would be Mario Kart's item system. In Mario Kart, the items a player gets from the item box are determined based on how far away they are from first place. The racer in first will only ever get simple items like shells, bananas, and coins, whereas players at the back of the pack will be rewarded with blue shells, lightnings, and bullet items which can hit the racer at the front without any way for them to stop them, adding a heavy amount of randomness to the game's outcome. But Mario Kart is first and foremost a party game. Nintendo designed it to be a fun experience for the whole family, so it makes sense that it would reward players. It's not designed to be taken seriously by 99% of its players. If we want to see comeback mechanics that exist in competitive experiences, we'll need to take a look back into the fighting game scene at a few games' most divisive features. Given that we talked about Dhalsim before, I find it natural to use Street Fighter V as our example of a fighting game with an intrusive comeback mechanic. Street Fighter V featured a system mechanic titled the V system, which gave unique selectable options to each character that could be mixed and matched to the player's preference. One of these was your V skill, a simple unique action not unlike a special move, and the other was V-Trigger. V-Trigger could only be activated once the red bar at the bottom of the screen was filled up, and it granted an extreme power boost to certain attributes of a character. How do you fill that bar? Well, if I didn't clue you in over the last 20 minutes, you built that bar by being worse. Your V-meter only builds in two ways, taking damage and landing your V. Now, this all sounds well and good, but the amount you got from landing a V-skill was extremely negligible. And even then, a vast majority of characters couldn't consistently get this to happen in the course of a match, meaning 9 times out of 10 you'd see V-Trigger get. It was because the user had just taken a chunk of damage from their opponent. Now, you may be thinking that this ends up working out similarly to our standard meter example, as in order to win a match, you'll need to give your opponent the same opportunity to build you. But in reality, it didn't end up working out this way. Due to V-Trigger's large boost to a character's offensive capabilities, in certain instances it felt like winning early interactions in Street Fighter V matches would just lead to dealing 20% or so of the opponent's life, giving them V-Trigger, losing neutral to their more powerful toolkit, taking 50% or so damage before they run out of V-Trigger, and then being forced to play the rest of the match with just a sliver of health. Even though we secured the advantage first, we were punished for playing well, and ended up defeated without a wrestling problem. And while this is a hyperbolized and heavily simplified example, this really is what V-Trigger felt like. Because of this mechanic had a lot of controversy from the fighting game community, many of which believe the uncompetitive. And even if you liked Street Fighter V as a game and didn't find V-Trigger as intrusive as critics, they did objectively have a point. But let's not just make this a dunk session on Street Fighter V. Is there any strategic benefit that players can exploit out of V-Trigger? Well, there most certainly is. Given that V-Trigger has a vulnerable activation period and generally doesn't make characters that much stronger on defense, it can't be used as a get-out-of-jail-free card when pressured by the opponent. To that end, top players occasionally began intentionally planning out their openings such that their combos would leave the opponent just outside V-Trigger activation range, so that they could score one more solid hit before the risk of V-Trigger would be introduced into the round. Fighting games aren't strangers to these types of mechanics, with BBFC's Sparking, UMVC3's X Factor, and Tekken's Rage Mode all being buffs activated by reaching a low health threshold that can let the losing player come back from the brink of defeat. And even then, these mechanics can all be played around by a skillful player through resetting combos and other means. While these mechanics are the worst of the worst when it comes to breaking competitive integrity for the sake of rewarding weaker players, it would be incorrect to say they don't add anything to the game they're in. V-Trigger, X Factor, Sparking, and Rage are all extreme spectacles that get crowds of spectators hyped to see huge combos, and they introduce a unique aspect of decision-making for the stronger player that really forces them to prove their by outsmarting the game's mechanics and overcoming the They may push the limit on what we consider to be fair to competitive integrity, but across the bigger picture, the better player is more likely to win in each of these games, proven by the top players of each scene remaining more consistently strong at every event you look at. So, should the better player always win? I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but to be honest, no. If you're designing an experience to be taken seriously, you may not want to implement blatant comeback mechanics like X Factor or Feed Trigger, but making small sacrifices to competitive integrity to keep your players entertained as they improve is a surprisingly important step to an engaging competitive experience. The good that selectable characters bring to a competitive experience isn't outweighed by the bad they bring by introducing potential bad matchups
I don't activate hand traps.
The struggle to capture a final control point when you're defending it loses its frustration when you consider that you're doing exactly what your opponent is doing.
Well, as long as you win, I suppose.
You believe that any game that plans on taking itself seriously should never even consider throwing the worst player a bone every now and then? Or do you think that people will never engage with game systems if they aren't given an opportunity to play and understand what winning looks like? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have any examples of gameplay, symmetry, comeback mechanics, or anything you have to say regarding the subject, I'm pretty good about reading all the things you guys have to say, so be sure to let me know. This sure ended up being a long one. But for now, though, that's all. This has been Adventure, and I hope to see you in the next
one. Sword.
Peace.
I don't think Pot of Desires is a good idea. Runic melts. I'll move faster if I use that. No! My floodgate. Why didn't they attack? Could they not attack? They didn't activate any light horns. Or not runics. Whoa. Access code. As long as these don't get negated, that's my win. Wacky. Can we do that again?
I do like the idea.
Mermail?
46, so we can do a couple things here.
Oh, yo, it's a
I
mermail
think the
ditto.
safest might just be this. Just returning the favor to you. With your board? Yeah. I do have
Turn
my
like
own
turn
copy.
3 or 4 or something, what the
The only
heck?
question is, do I want to go crazy with it? Kind of like it. Yeah. I'm gonna go for reborn. I do like going wild. I think I'm actually gonna go and give up. Then go back in time
God
to
hand.
his
Straight up.
10. Yeah, why not?
Oh, great,
And
they're
just
playing
make
fucking
a
Centaurion.
yeah, it's okay. Seems reasonable. Then I'm gonna just
Or pure Tentai.
and mean, you can just...
Sangan, the one up.
Here the dump is. I don't remember if I used it well there. I think you get it.
Yeah,
I mean, it will make a lot of
there's no universe where you get it.
I mean,
so,
just use it just in case.
And yeah, I am done with my turn. So, crows. I think we've seen crows. And yeah, even back in the day, obviously something cool about the Mermaid deck was the deformer was a little bit slower, but as you can see, it was able to make both XYZs and sea crows, which was very rare for a deck at the time. And yeah,
This is a very weird game, honestly.
no, for sure,
We don't really have
for sure.
much going on, and we're coming up with I don't know, weird solutions. I would say.
Improvising.
You have 3 nets, right?
I got 3 nets.
I mean,
Time tearing
I
is
think I can
usually
do this.
used in
Otherwise, next turn you just.
Runic. They probably think I'm playing Runic.
I have to go dark.
Nick does not go second.
Marksman battle phase.
Okay, I'll take it. First damage 4 me. No,
You took 200
yeah,
plus
200
14,
first.
so 16.
So 34. I think we are 34 each. At the end when I take care of the
yeah, you were basically
exactly the same. Interesting. Very unique duel. Hopefully that's all you are going for.
And I'll set you.
Oh wow, that's not it. Come on, let's go for it. Heavy storm one time. Okay, step my main.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I'm gonna use another of the one-offs in the deck, which is a really favorite of mine, which is the Everest.
Yeah,
Nice, average.
So exactly 5 monsters, and
yeah.
yep.
You have a lot of outs, huh?
Yeah, I do need some help, not gonna lie. Right now I don't have much.
Just summon 2 monsters.
Good cards, I think.
If you do that, I win.
3 Abyss Spike.
Try and jinx me? Let's see. Now we withdraw into
controller.
the double controller, yeah. The first one, it's not it. Oh my god. No. Not quite. Oof. Rough. I think I might just mirror you.
Wait a minute.
Go for it. Throw it. That's the question.
I got forced back into main phase
But
1.
I think I'm gonna set a couple of cards and pass it back.
Okay.
Or attempting to leave main phase.
Normal summon anything.
I'll go for turn. Stand by. Main.
You good.
Um.
The tension is palpable. This is still the YCS final, although 11 years ago.
You may have another sphere for sure.
No Harpy's Feather Duster,
not
please.
Because Long was playing the card that nobody like. I mean, like
Long
only
was
few
playing
players. I mean, like
53. What was he not playing?
It was insane. During that tournament was insane. I think you remember well because he didn't play it, right?
Fair enough.
But you may have one.
We learn from our mistakes. That will make us great players, right?
I don't think Tenpai has fusions.
I'll let him battle phase.
Do they have XCs?
We'll try.
They have a tune. Tenpai's this one's a tuner, so Synchro is probably what I should pick with try and guess.
I'm gonna go with let's go space.
Tough call, eh? Yeah, I'll take it.
Here it comes.
So it's what?
34, 48. I go down to 3,200. Yeah. That's good.
The only universe in which I look is if you have maybe a third spear, but
They're probably gonna realize what's happening here soon.
Just drop card.
yeah. Right, maybe. Yeah, I'll talk with Dragoons.
I'll take one.
The other one?
Bad reaction.
And I wish we could use the torrential in the damage step, but unfortunately that's not the case. And Paolo Bacchiana, in this case, played by Alberto, takes the game.
What did you have?
I had this cube before the Avaris,
phase.
so I was really hoping to get water. I guess I could have set this maybe.
No, but like didn't make any difference.
With the
like,
second
at the end of the day, it's
rough one.
because
Can happen.
You did have like very good draws.
There he is.
Of course. Yeah.
Going back to us. this was obviously a nice little fun recap for what Yu-Gi-Oh! Looked like 11 years ago. This was the
Hey,
final
why didn't
of
Ichiroku trigger?
at least one of the games. Obviously looked quite different. Pretty sure those two players were able to play much better than us, their decks back in the day. But it's always fun again with both Time Wizards and these matches to go back in time and try and see what and especially compare with what's going to happen this weekend for this amazing YCS Lille 270 YCS. But again, as a final reminder, guys, check out both more content that we're going to have this weekend and Rage of the Abyss releasing soon because the Manuel and Atlantean deck is going to be one that for sure I'm going to try out because I do miss the deck a lot competing at the highest level. But thank you for being with us, and let's find out how the final for YCS Lille is gonna look like on Sunday evening after 11 years. Thank you for watching, stay tuned, and we'll be back with more action from YCS Lille.
Oh, Sangen summoning makes them immune to targeting effects. Dang it, I didn't have game. Alright, well, that's what the Drowning Mirror Force was there for. The contingency. Isn't that just the back of a fucking Yu-Gi-Oh card? All of this is happening in the battle phase. Senpais are fucking crazy, man. And they still go for lethal here. No. Wait, yeah? Nope. Right, I live or I die in this next phase. Or I die right now. I think I am dead. Yeah. Honestly, this should just be in the main deck. Let's get a floodgate. The ledgers are not going to be useful, sadly. Is Snatch Steal targeting? I didn't think about that. the fuck?
275th was yes here in Lille.
That's
I'm here
honestly
with my friend
kinda
Tom,
smart.
and we will play some Time Wizard, but different.
That
Something
or they
different, right?
bricked really, really
So,
hard.
what do you expect from this match?
Oh, well, this is actually a format I played in. So we were going to play 2014 April. So this was the format that the European Championship played in 2014. And it was one I quite liked because I was having quite a good season that year, I remember.
Yeah,
So
I remember.
I was happy about playing with the deck I played at the European Championships.
It's been a while actually for
They
me as well
popped
because
off
I was
real
playing
crazy in
and
round 1.
looking at it back now, I still
Unfortunately.
see some differences. Or maybe I could have done this better. I could have built this deck differently. And funnily enough, I mean, I know what I'm playing, but I don't know what Tom is playing.
Yep, nothing.
So let's jump to the table and we will roll dice.
Oh god, they're making me go first.
Not high, no. That is higher.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good plan for me.
It is, right?
Oh my
I
god,
have to
2
remind
Dark
me,
Lord
did you
nerfers
draw
got
5
milled.
or 6? It was around this time, James, wasn't it? I think it's 5.
Pretty sure it's 5.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll do 5. We should know this. But the rules changed like around this time,
Yeah,
didn't they? So,
yeah, exactly, yeah. But funnily enough, I mean, about this format, I remember it was extremely like.
oh yeah, I
Yikes.
enjoyed it. There were so many different decks around this time. Like, people are obviously fond of the 2011. There's a lot of decks, but in this, like, still tons of decks as well.
Yeah, I mean the format was like I think there were at least 4 or 5 different very good decks because like in my mind I had Yarja, Trap Tricks. There was like very cool variants with artifacts in general.
Yeah.
Mermail.
We had Infinity, we had Fujin, we had lots of like Light Swan, there were Dragon Rulers, but let's kick things off.
Yeah.
Let's tell you what deck I'm playing because you said you don't know.
No, I'm sorry.
You'll still have to wait and see. Okay, I'm gonna set a monster. Then set 3, and I'm gonna hope that I'm pretty sure.
This is unsurprising that they made me go first.
I don't have a style I wrote, maybe
You're not playing very well. Because, I think that
this is breakthrough, sphere. What do you think?
Gotcha. But also there was hand. So right. We'll soon find out. So let's full.
Oh, I can see what type of game we're in for here. One of these old school Yu-Gi-Oh!
I think they want a combo.
Main phase.
Yeah.
There's something
Oh, here you are.
phase.
Fair enough.
I'll go with I have warning somewhere.
Oh, what? Not very nice. Okay, so you take 2,000.
Yeah.
That's right. I don't know what to do. Let's try this one.
This is 17, right? Because it gains.
It does. Yeah. That's,
Card in hand. Yeah, that's fine.
okay, I'm supposed to attack you. I feel like it's tricky when you're like,
You have to think if that's not very in that format, right? Like the
yeah, I feel like we're very much past the point of dimensional. Mirror Force, maybe someone's playing in the one-of in that deck. Let's go for it. Go on, I'll enter my battle phase if that's alright.
in a battle phase, I will activate.
I see, you're not supposed to do that. That's really rude. I'm gonna play Traps.
Ooh, this hurts. Yeah, good.
They have
That's
lethal.
good.
So can I get an attack?
Yeah,
They could have just said so.
That's good.
Okay, so
Whatever.
1,700. You're down to 5-3. Yeah, you have a lot of bouncing life points. Then go to my main phase 2.
Yeah.
Now use it. The effect.
Yeah.
Would you like to activate another song?
Oh, thanks.
You sure?
Totally, go for it.
Anything now? Try for me, maybe. Maybe. Okay.
The trap stand is good here.
It's good.
Actually, a nice addition to the deck because I remember Wired Top being played. White Top was popular. Perhaps 10. Actually, nice addition. Yeah.
Perfect.
Sure.
And your turn.
Draw for turn. Step by main.
Hey, okay.
Okay. So I saw a monster, which is the Myrmelio, and I activate the effect.
So this is unaffected by
A normal trap.
normal.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but it's not unaffected by continuous traps, I think. So I'll have a go.
One
One more game and then I'll go do my writing.
I'll change torrential tribute.
I've
Oh,
made a
that's
few
neat.
adjustments
Oh, that's no good for me.
once again
And I'll resolve them.
to my
Used
megalith
that
deck.
last time. Would've been a lot
Yeah, right. Let's. I think I have one, right? The this one.
Really, there were quite a few targets, no? There was
Yeah.
the Trap Trick Trap Hole Dive.
Yeah, let's see what I have here. I have the bottom glass.
What about the original Trap Hole? That's the...
Yeah, the bottom glass.
Nice.
I'll set 2 and pass back.
I'm going to try a Gigiano.
Ooh. This one allows you to special summon one, right?
Yeah, let's be special summon one back from the graveyard, so I'll target one of my armors.
Sorry, my
what's going
bad.
on here?
Alright. I'll go with retro skill.
Breakthrough skill.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go my battle phase.
Yeah.
Here we go. Clock getting shorter. That one, and faster. Drop. Remember, it should have been harder for you to deal with like Giga armors, but you seem to just be like getting through them.
I mean, like, I remember it being more difficult, right? Around this, but apparently it's not. So this one, if a special summon, it pops one, right? The thing I'm very that's the issue. So I'll go with Soul Charge
Oh my goodness.
for one. So I'll pay 1,000 to
I can't do anything about that, sadly for me, so you go for it.
We're going to take a pause from that content to bring you a very exciting first Top Card feature match here at YCS Lille. And we in front of us have our top 32 feature match for Stoa versus Valerio Sprecacina. We're ready to get this going. So guys, we're going to do a high roll. See who goes first. Who would like to roll first? Who's going to roll first? That's an 8 for Fernando. And for Valerio,
Oh
a 3.
shit,
Who's
I
going to
lost
go first?
Portal.
Oh, you're going to let him go first. Okay, right. Valerio is going to go first. I'm going to hand over Marcello, Alberto, and Tom, who are going to be your commentary team for our top 32 feature match. Gentlemen, take it away.
That quite
Thank you, and
stinks.
welcome to the top 32 from us as well. Well, we are down to the 5 remaining matches to find out who will be the YCS champion.
Yeah, I mean, so few players left. As we said, it's all that much more difficult to get into the top card when there are 1,900 or thereabouts rather than just over 2,000. But the reward is, once you've made it to the top card now, it's almost like you're around it. You've won that first round. There's only 5 rounds rather than our usual 6. So players who are here and are that much closer to taking it home.
Yeah, let's say that if the first tournament is over, then a new one wins, right? So it's, that's where the competition gets higher and higher. And yeah, honestly, I really can't wait to see our players in action, especially because, like, once again, here, I think here on Future we'll have a different deck for it. So we're excited for it. Yeah,
Evenly
as
matched.
confirmed, the record that got you here was at least 2 losses, and as we
Dang it.
expected, some of these players did not make it, which is obviously heartbreaking, but what can you do? You gotta try your best. Winning out yesterday was crucial in that regard. Later on, we will be able to show you a deck breakdown for the top 32, but I can still tell you a little bit about that data. Yubel is the most represented decks, and you guys actually were quite close, because I remember
mentioning 30%. It's actually 34%.
Face
So
downs.
the deck performed pretty well, and we'll see whether that remains a factor throughout the entirety of Top Cut. But the second most represented deck, and one which we'll be seeing for this round, as you might have guessed from first, is Tempai, which is 16% of the Top Cut, and obviously still a very good show. But from there on, we actually take a huge jump. The third most represented deck are Runic variants with 9%. Are actually tied with Chimera. That's a surprise. Wow. So Chimera performed really well.
I mean, I'm so happy to see that. It's such a cool deck. It's so much fun. So, and I think that again, like decks like Chimera, making it out of the other category, you've got to be a good deck, right? If you're starting at less than 2%, because that was the kind of boundary for being in the other.
Yeah.
Then you've made it now to 9% in the Top Cut. That's a massive conversion rate.
That's absolutely massive, but we still have a lot of diversity, as this was what was picked down, and now we can finally show you. As you can see, the remaining decks: Labyrinth, Ritual Beast, of course, Herman, I'm pretty sure won the Swiss, going undefeated, so crazy accomplishment. He's one of the Ritual Beast players, but 90% of our... So maybe my prediction of having 10 different decks, although it was tough very sure, might have been right, and we'll see more about that. But when it comes to the match that we have picked for you guys, as mentioned, Fernando will be on Tempai, but his opponent, Valerio, Italian player, is actually on another of those other decks, which is going to be a Dogmatica Voiceless Voice. I think that would be an interesting... regrets, let him in start, but I think our players are ready, so let's find out who will be the winner of Game 1. Here we are again, our it's here, Slam Wizard card. Our little mascot for the event. But yeah, let's see. Valerio gonna go first. He can safely assume that he's up against Tempai.
Interesting to see what he's come up with here for this deck. It's the kind of stock and steady, you play your powerful voiceless voice cards, get that Barry, get that Note, get that Skull Guardian, but what you do after that, it seems as anyone's guess.
Start things off with, which is pretty good. Not interrupted. Fernando, we could probably check, but might assume he's on, shifter at least. If he's maining those Charmy as well, yeah.
He's running the shifter, but the shifter draw.
One full here.
He has had the shifter, makes sense. Yeah, and I think the percentages...
One full engrave, one full on field. Alright, I can't... Yeah.
And now we keep on as
what do we do here? What do they have? Ice Dragons, Prison, and Lost Wind. What do they have? They're also playing a 60 size.
Hoping to just follow this up with, just to get some advantage maybe with the Maximus, but
yeah, it's a nice little opportunity with the voiceless voice deck because there's no huge requirement on the automatic targets, great targets to send from your extra deck to the graveyard to get some value, whereas I don't think many other decks in the format can afford to just put like 4 or 5 cards can't summon to your extra deck as targets for your Nadir 7 and your Dogmatic Maximus. Also running the Fiendsmith card, so a little bit of everything from Valeria. You're going to see a lot more of an explosive style perhaps to see voices voice.
Yeah, this is
Oh, your effects are still negated. Fuck.
Fernando is technically still undefeated. He's on 9 wins and 2 draws. We'll change the graphic in a moment, but Valerio is on 9 and 2 losses. So very impressive to go undefeated through 11 rounds of Swiss.
Yeah, it's a pretty good record. I mean, I don't know. Less than other decks because it just take much less time normally, but maybe he had some back and forth matchups.
I guess so. He's playing some of those Labyrinth decks that are in the Top Cut, and that can take a while. But okay, we do get to the Fiendsmith continuous track. Is that Radiance? Yep. Voice is voice and special summon one deck. Other things. Acts much like the Defying card, it can pop cards on the side of the cards you have. Valerio running Ash. Check. Yes. Okay. One incoming. One is his third name, which is Pregacelere. Guardian gets translated to literally waste ash. So I really see how he's
What
using
the hell
those
is
ash
that?
bots. You know, joke is waiting for him around the corner. I think he's got any synchro. It's Harold. Some fun. Yes. It's got a Cyframe called Omega. I don't think the link. And now yeah, this is looking definitely quite but the question is it enough against a deck like Templine, where they can just try and, fight your build cards like Lightning Storm, Dark Road, Raigeki, and obviously you can play around maybe one. But when they start dropping, multiple copies of those, that can be an issue. But let's see. Fernando picks up his 6 cards, and now the pressure is on him. Does he have what it takes to fight this amazing opening from Valerio?
Extreme weather events with multiple lightning storms and a duster. It's just it goes to show, like, when you tailor your deck to going second, the power of cards. With all of these cards without worrying about them not so useful going first, like Raigeki. One by itself, not so much, but when you start to play 2 or 3, chop through your negates.
There it is, the first one coming down. Good old Dark Hole making an appearance.
It's negate 1.
Thinking about it, so maybe he has.
Looks like he pointed to the Skull Guardian.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because Skull Guardian is it stronger than the Desiree? Should just negate any card? Maybe not.
So Fernando,
Sure.
wow, it's a Raigeki, right?
Yeah, this is a new
So
very
very
Raigeki.
yeah. Which, by the way, is also featured on at this event.
I also saw maybe one lucky person will get to take home the giant card version.
Yeah,
Than
that's
Raigeki.
unfortunately I don't have the better version to show you guys, but we'll have to go. And wow, Droplet to follow it up. Oof. Mentioned in one of our previous rounds how Droplet guarantees you beat the majority of decks. This could just be the same case, and he's thinking about just getting rid of a monster maybe to prevent. He's thinking.
Yeah, or maybe a play with Radiance of Devotion's Voice 2.
Oh, he's done. So he's just gonna use it on the Desi. Does this resolve? It does! Wow. Wow! There's entire field.
I know,
Yeah, I see. Exactly.
no monster set.
Yeah, I was thinking,
the second defending spell.
that's maybe just body can respond to Droplet for some reason, but yeah, as you mentioned, there's no monster there, so at least the SP should have been activated. I mean, the tension can get you. Playing, on stream is not easy. Maybe on your first appearance in a top cut, which could be the case for Valerio, I'm not sure.
Here we see some Serena's action.
Yeah,
One on the field, one in the hand, being used to protect.
Low comes out when you special summon a virtual monster. So I guess low would have been that chain. Cerebus, very old. It's one of the sort of older ones that actually made its way into the deck. Absolutely. It's played next in the class as well. That's a one-off. Yeah, this is some pressure. Let's see. Valerio has what it takes to stay in this, as we can see. About this Radiance. I'm wondering, so Cerebus can negate a summon that doesn't start a chain, but I'm wondering if that works if you use a Tempi monster effect to do a synchro summon, like as Chain Link 1. Maybe it's, yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Often they say, like, immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon a monster. Like, if you do a Chain Link 2, I'm almost 100% sure it can't. For now, we are in the battle phase, and we are gonna see some Tempi action. Checking on something. Yep, seems like it's all good. So this father will get healed. Gonna get Fernando source makes sense. I'm just gonna get all three of order. I guess that's maybe we'll get the fourth one too. Like it. Okay. No. All right. No response again from the and from Valerio. I mean, this might be an opportunity to use the something you've already put on chain to show you a synchro summon chain 2, but I'm not 100% sure how this is going to work out. Goes to the game broke. An appearance once again. Attacking again, just to make sure it gets up to 3 attacks. Have to attack Disraelis. Barrier. So, yep, looks like it. And yeah, then now we're going downfall. Barrier. Nice. So they try. Right, and it's here. I'm sure you don't see it 10 by something decks. It's like that's okay with him. If that is the case, then Cerebus is pretty. No, not good at all against the Tempo. They can synchro summon just completely ignore it. I mean, it's been done Chain Link 2, maybe that's. Yeah, so maybe that previous one was Chain Link 2 as well somehow. This time it is for sure to use the problem that chained as Chain Link 2, so that makes actually can. And now we have the father on. And
I got emergence rigged off. Oh, and I drew another pot. Fucking bullshit.
Change to less impressive. Zero attack, is it? Oh, 50. Okay. Pretty much. And the dragon is such an amazing card. Attacks you as well as allowing you to just push your game quite easily. This might just be it. So. Yeah, this is so much. Valerio knows, and yeah, he recognizes that this is indeed enough, and Fernando takes game 1. What?
Why does this guy take so long to do their turns? My internet died.
Enough. Fernando takes game one. What a show. The one started to this not very sure. It looked like Valerio had a pretty solid opening, but in the end, it just wasn't enough. Not the aggression from Empire deck. Narco, Spaghetti, Complet. I mean, that's tough. Yeah, it was a super close game. In the end, there was, obviously the big
Barrier statue's just gonna get beaten over.
by too many. Like, all of those interruptions, all of the 10 by cards. Yeah. So, one card fewer, one extra interruption on the end. That's just the better skill, especially. That's the That's just. Um, yeah, but I think should, yeah, that would have relevant whether he survived this turn. Actually, that was not the case, and now comes my favorite part about that play. So after sacking second, gotta say, looking at the deck, 90% of the deck, I just side of maybe siding back with my which is an issue. On the other hand, I guess for other suspects, so that those waves, which again, I don't know. I guess each 10-part player, maybe take a first, stare into their soul. That's a big fan of mind games that much. I like. Fight fun. So, like, ideal. Right about it. What's that? One thing I talk about is one of the best tools for a voice is attack like monsters. So if your opponent's probably gonna Drago in the deck. It's not too much of just one card that makes push down with the sequel. So go first, you're gonna have to stare down Drago. Just like ready to start. It's absolutely right, and I guess we'll find out just in a matter of seconds as our duelists are almost done with their shuffling up. Find out winner of game 2. All, what's it gonna be? What's the, I think, oh, wow. Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, you can look. Oh, and the shifter. But I just went first.
I forgot to activate portal. God damn it.
Automatic.
I can still bring out Ruin, but getting rid of Bethor in hand, which was a very important card.
Yes, it's like a spell guard and beating a lot. Okay, I start to get one shifter there. Just what makes them by such a stuff. Not only as so game as like
No, I just Dynamondo.
potential out of shifter and chunk. Oh,
I have no choice but to sacrifice full for the board break. Ah, they're playing fucking Dark Dragoon. They surrendered. They saw Ruin protected all my rituals, and then they didn't have an out for it. Uh. Evenly matched, and kaijus are kinda my strongest answers. Uh, do I try siding in Ultimate Slayer as well? Let's try. Nibiru's kinda useless in this. I know they're gonna go first.
So like that's something that we maybe Fernando is not familiar with. Could be a surprise, I guess. So yeah, particularly difficult fight.
Alright, bring out your fucking red dice.
Can't get that recursion.
I ain't afraid of it.
So maybe that's limit a little bit what you can do.
Interesting.
Having this big constant construct around might be enough.
What the hell?
Case and yeah, Fernando has to be careful.
Is this guy just playing all the classic Yu-Gi-Oh monster supports or whatever?
The blessing. Just the only thing I'm about.
Oh my god, are they gonna fucking summon the the fucking old gods or whatever? The Egyptian god cards? Egyptian god cards plus fucking red eyes? Yeah, joking me. What kind of pile? Oh my god! They're oh, I get it. This is what they've been trying to do the entire time.
So it's gonna destroy the Skull Guardian unless they use the price of money sure it says destroy something. There. So we got in of the Skull Guardian. Still some damage. And that's it. Wow!
Oh my god, it's Exodia.
Shifted from Fernando is an out. Yeah, a quick one. Congratulations. Fernando is the one who advances. Wow, what a start. Top issue. Sometimes, I mean, I guess that's what Tempai does. And Tempai makes. And happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with it, right? Just play your dark balls, you play the Brageki. Such a, you know, it's a very simple strategy, but it's a very effective strategy, and just saving all over. Sort of take over the European. So, what do you reckon?
Yeah, so chances might be, especially if Fernando this is going to be difficult.
Let's try to bait out that negate.
You know, that's how the deck works, and sometimes,
Beautiful.
still a very good this voice deck. Which I think is impressive as well. So how different the better be. So I think like a deck choose Polycom cards in it, and unfortunately somehow that case I had all but Valerio for one of the most difficult guests last year's time. Yeah, by far, and still a great accomplishment being also maybe one of those decks which considered against the top three choices for the weekend, but just you not many, especially in this format have all update. This, it makes sense. Now for you, we'll see whether Fernando is going to be able to keep on this undefeated streak because he's technically sitting on 10 wins and 2 draws. So, really, really good weekend for him. And obviously, the deck looks good. It looks somewhat similar to the European Championship. This approach of just playing Regaki and Dark. And I guess if it's not broken, why fix it?
I'd be really interested to see if we can at some point get a 10-point mirror match on it. So I know you got the mind games, but it'll start to get really confusing when, like, once you lose the dice roll, you lose the dice roll, then it wants to go
I
first.
got it.
You're in a lot of trouble by itself. So interested to see what happens if we get one of those. It must have been happening a fair amount this weekend. So
Time to pop off.
day one had what, 12-13%, that's still going in similar percentage.
And it has chances of my prayers. Yeah, so last time we can bring it up for you guys on screen if anyone missed.
I just realized Pot of Prosperity is literally just graceful charity. A stronger graceful charity, even. That's why it's limited to just one, although it could arguably be banned outright. It could and should.
So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean, an interesting rest. Side of this 4 pounds remain. Yes.
Your top card. I mean, you see those bars that say 6%, right? There's only 32 players, so 6%, 2 decks, and then everything else. The other, that means there's only one of those. So you, each deck must have seen like maybe more than 10. Yeah. So fantastic to see it. So interesting to see all different decks always come up in hand.
That is something that 164. And that's what you honestly, I can't remember that diverse. It's like one. And you know, comes to state of the game at the moment, and we are into the scene. Should go different players. Now, remaining for this top issue is to hear it from the man Fernando. We have an interview done by Ed.
Fernando, who's just made his way into the top 16 here at YCS. Leo, very exciting. Friends just off camera here, taking pictures of you and stuff. Congratulations. How do you feel?
Great. Things that I like.
We just saw on screen 10 pi is the second. It's going to say, guys. How are you finding?
For me, the mistakes are better. Like, that's so for me,
Why do you like?
all the next is masters. I like that.
You cannot get a better. So, in this top 16, are you worried? Confident?
Oh, if anybody figured out that, well,
Congratulations. I'm going to let you put your microphone down and you can go and join Basti over there. Congratulations on getting into the top 16. We're going to wonder if you guys are going to go through some plays. Congrats, mate. That's why we get to do this even when as we go through the top cuts. See exactly how the plays have been happening. From the man himself, Fernando and Basti, we're going to go straight over to them. Guys, take it away.
Thank you, Ed. Of course, here we are at the analyst test with our feature match winner. Top 6. Well, let's talk about the match that you just played. We are going to go first highlights. Game number 1, of course. How you managed to break that field there. You decided the next know what is coming, but could you prepare for this? When you saw your hand, you knew what you were doing, or how did you feel?
expect the targets. I don't know, so, but my hand was good. Because of the sport.
Yeah, there was the dark ball indicated that to Scarlet Guardian, right? Here comes Greg. Were you surprised when you used the Scarlet Guardian first? Because the Desiree
Oh, did they have evenly matched?
drop it if you're like not setting a monster or something. So
Damn, it's my turn to get evenly matched.
You activate Rayaki, sorry, and he responds with the Desiree, and there comes the droplet, and then he did not respond to the droplet, right? The droplet sets all these spells. Do you think he should have responded? Maybe with SP or something? Just the SP, or what was
I
missing?
think Pico was fit. Monster for follow-up if I could get
Fair, yeah, that's reasonable. I can see that definitely. He just let it tired on. Alright, so we followed up to the next highlight. Let's get that next rolling. And then it's showing you there is new monsters on the field because he was able to use the prey was the graveyard, bring up the Saravis. So now in the battle, are you aware of the Saravis interaction?
Shit.
As many people don't know, would be able to negate synchro summons from 10 by monsters, right? Well, you played around it, correct?
yes, Taylor.
Yeah, exactly. But Chain Link 1, Chakra, Chain Link 2, Hydra, and therefore it cannot negate it anymore. That's very, very smart for you, very handsome play. Did you test for his voices, or how did you know about
Yeah,
that?
I play with my friend and play voices a lot of times.
Yeah,
I check
that's true. That was really, really good because a lot of people, I mean, some people don't even know because usually the Saravis only works on the 10 by monsters. Even though they activate in effect, it's going to be a regular summon that they're performing, right?
yeah,
So,
very good.
exactly. You were able to read from there on as you just had enough monsters to attack brigade your opponent's scoots shortly after, so game 1 to you. After that, side decking, do you think your opponent is letting you start, or do you think your opponent is going sack?
Okay, but start 100%.
You sure? Voice
Yes.
point has to go first?
Yes.
Okay. Why is that? Because they just can't do enough going sack.
Because I shifter. I full one and go. Under shifter, I can't break full unless I draw 2 breakers.
I mean, okay, that brings us to the second game. But you did draw a shifter going second.
Yes.
And let's go into the highlight as we see how it exactly went. That's a field they created, which honestly is not even that bad, right? Because we have they have Blessing to bring on another monster, they already have the Skull Guardian, and now you start things off by activating right Yaki. Taker, got to be able to apply solutions this field. Obvious one, quick and easy, but you fought for another, but it was always clear what's coming next, right?
I don't know if any spell traps or monster, because I know the monster that bring spells.
Okay. True, true.
I was thinking, he don't have it.
Very smart.
He have it.
Exactly, yeah, so you just went with the monsters, and then the field basically was empty, and then also second summoning, not limited to you. Activate second summoning and play here, going into the last bit that we have prepared. That's the final moment then in the battle phase. And Rebound was the only option that was available to you there, because you needed to get rid of that Skull Guard, because you were just saying
Yes.
it could not be destroyed by battle, so you had to do this, right?
Under shifter, yes.
And the shifter, what would be an option without shifter?
First thing, going to attack, trigger, or planted, revive.
The Rebound here, and the shifter was perfect. It went all honestly from you, so 10 by strategy going really, really well for you. Let's see how well you can do the top 16, of course. I'm going to not thank you for doing the interview here with me. And of course, going back now to Asset Live coverage. Thank you very much, Basti. Congratulations again, Fernando. Rest of those top 32 matches will all be done in order to get into your top 16. To fill some time in between, we've got even more Yu-Gi-Oh content for you, so here is some more time.
Oh wow, there's no once per turn clause.
My goodness. I can't do anything about that stuff. Yeah, breathe out.